Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Eliali. In this incarnation, I am here today to talk about the energies of this next week from July 21st until July 27th. So the Cancer season is ending because, on July 22nd, we have the Sun entering in Leo. And that same day, Mars in Virgo is going to perfect the conjunction with the South Node that I've been commenting in the last videos of the last week. So I'm going to embrace all of the transits of this week in the new moon that happens on July 24th, because actually all the aspects that we have are part of that configuration. So okay, the new moon happens, as I said, on July 24th in the degrees 2, in the degree second with 7 minutes of Leo. So people that have fixed signs in angular houses or planets close to this mathematical degree are going to feel this new moon. This is a cycle that is being opened. And the Leonine energy is this phase in which we have the invitation to be aware of our light, where we have the position of the sun in our natal chart is the way that we came here to express our energy. The energy is going to be elevated regarding the level of consciousness of a person. For example, if someone has the sun in Aries and he doesn't dare or she doesn't dare to take brave decisions or to do things for the first time or to act in an independent way, then the sun it is not being expressed. But if the person it is only acting from an excessive aggressiveness, thinking only about himself or herself, or cannot sustain what is initiating, then it is not being conscious. He is not or she is not being conscious of his or her impulses. And we can apply this to every sign. All of them have their aspect of lights and shadows. Therefore, what happens when the sun is annulled, and this happens to many people, that the sun is not being shown. This is common that is happening because the moon is operating with much strength. It is like phagocytizing the sun from the imbalances that we have acquired from our environment when we grew up that are unconscious, and those mechanisms are used as a protection with quotation marks that are keeping us in the uterus in a very symbolic way, because the uterus is going to take different forms according to the moon and our personal history, personal story. But in the end, this doesn't allow us to mature and to eventually position ourselves in our center to radiate our light, the light that we came here to irradiate. So this is the reason why, even though spiritual elevation does contains a transcendence of the ego, a continuous transcendence of the ego. I am referring that to access a superior or higher consciousness, we have to allow aspects of the identity to die, but at the same time understanding that the identity is the means, is the medium through we live the experience in here, through which we live the experience in here. But to begin with the transcendence, we have to make this integration, this healthy integration of the ego. This is a process that many people call self-love, cultivating self-love, because it is vital to know ourselves, to recognize which are our talents, which is our path. Because when there are great imbalances of the ego that in different ways we all came here to experiment them, and I think that we go through different layers, because how can we know to rebalance ourselves if we have never experimented imbalances, or how we can take light, or being aware of something that wasn't hidden in first place. The universe, in a very, making a summary, it is divided in the existence that is the revealed things, and the infinite light that we didn't access before. It is the potential. That's why in Kabbalah, or Kabbalah in English, it is said that the darkness doesn't exist, that is hidden light. But returning to the imbalances of the ego, they have masks, and we can put them in these two polarities, One of them, it is the illusion of superiority, and the other one, it is the complexes of inferiority. It could seem that the first one responds to this great self-love, but actually hides the opposite. In the extreme of the illusion of superiority, the person is going to lack the humbleness, the necessary humility to learn, to recognize what is unconscious, to truly connect with their own light. The person in an extreme, we are talking about, in an extreme, the person is going to project the imperfections in other people, because it is not able to see them in himself or herself. And in the inferiority, the person could have fears to do what the soul came here actually to do, or is going to make decisions that is keeping the person in spaces where the soul, it is not feeling the freedom of expressing itself. So the energy of Leo is speaking to us as, this capacity that we all have to access to light, to bring that light to this plane. And this is very, very important, because we can accumulate talents, knowledge, whatever thing, but if we don't do anything with that to share those things, there is an imbalance. There is no revelation. And in the other polarity, it is not recognized that there are tools or things that we need to develop or incorporate to being able to share it. It is like me wanting to talk about astrology without knowing anything of astrology. And as in the experience, there are not two identical souls. And we know this scientifically, because there are no, I don't know this word in English. Wait a moment. I'm going to look up for it. There are no genome. Oh, okay. There are no identical genomes in humans. And well, this tells us that the information that we came to bring in here, it is something unique, perhaps something totally completely new for other people, or perhaps there are different ways of transmission that are contributing for the assimilation of that light for other people. Another example, it is, there are a lot of channels talking about astrology. And in fact, there are patterns of the energy, there are descriptions of the patterns of energy in astrology, but then the way that we are approaching that, the things that we can reveal through the language are going to be different. The things that we reveal. So information, astrology is only an example, but information is the art, the discoverings, the communication, the construction, the inventions, whatever thing the soul came here to contribute. And whatever thing you feel that you can shine through it. So eventually, souls in here are going to be seen, because that light that we had to share, that function, it is something that other people need, and that at the same time could connect those others with what lights up their hearts, what ignites their fire, being the heart, the center that rules the energy of Leo. And that's how we create the network, which is Aquarius, the opposite sign, when each one of us is embracing their own light. We know that in the practice, not everyone has done this discovering of themselves, or it is not even in that path, because the seeking is the most important thing. Approaching the path of returning to oneself, that is truly returning to the infinite light, is accessing to life, into our own truth. That is something that Master Jesus taught us. So sustaining spaces, relationships, and ways of life that are not actually aligned with the soul, this could bring a lot of sadness. This could turn off the inner fire, because the soul knows that it came here to do something particular. And anyways, we have to learn to accept certain limitations while we embrace that path. Wait a minute. Okay. Wait a minute, I'm going to continue. There are people that are trying to seek attention at this moment. It is this big example that I was talking about, the energy of Leo. So we have to learn to accept those limitations when we cannot force them to be different, while we discover our ways of transcending them. And it is also this path, the one that we have to, start to be aware of our shadows. When we talk about the shadows of Leo, this is pretty much focused in a seeking of external validation only. And it is important because validation and connection are not negative things. The thing is, when we didn't cultivate a healthy self-esteem, and when we are not giving that to ourselves, that validation, and we end up responding to mechanisms for other people can validate, can love, can accept us, paying the price of, for example, giving from spaces that are not making us feel good, or paying the price of not being authentic, or wanting to fit in that what we think that others want from us, etc. This inevitably it is reflected on the outside. If we are people that we are giving without a boundary, we are going to find we are going to encounter persons, people that are very selfish and that cannot appreciate that or being reciprocal. If we are putting our energy in a project that is not aligned with our soul, then we are not going to be seen or recognized. The thing is not about looking for the recognition. It is something that comes when it has to do it, and when we are sharing what is being born from our hearts. So those things that we are not conscious about are going to be expressed in our reality as an opportunity for us to see them and to change them. And it is very important because we have an opposition with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at the very moment that the Sun enters in Leo. Also, it is in a sextile with Uranus in Gemini and trines with Saturn and Neptune, both retrograde in Aries. And we are beginning this cycle of the new moon with Mercury being retrograde in Leo. So this initiates with a period of reflection, and some aspects are going to be stopped so we can reevaluate them. But this also means that we enter in a period of acceleration in the next 6 months, of changes that are taking us to occupy our place, to access to another information, and to discover the way that we came here to radiate. This tension with Pluto is implying the destruction of old forms. Perhaps for some people could be linked with facing certain decisions or steps that are causing fear, the detachment of something that we have make a lot of identity. It is an old skin that we are letting go of. And because it is an opposition, certainly people or situations could reflect on the outside that shadow that we have to integrate. They are going to move us to move out from mechanisms of control, because there are things that we cannot control, but we can regulate the way that we are operating in front of those things. So fears, obsessions, wanting to change things, forcing things, or feeling that something is threatening us are typical aspects of Pluto. Because these transits are exposing our attachment to the extremes. So the answer in here is to allow the death of everything that cannot remain. Everything that is generating pain and suffering. It is allowing, the death of all of that, because this lunation also tells us that if we are capable of letting go of the resistance to take our power, because that is through that process, it is that we connect with the true power, with the aspects with Uranus in Gemini, Saturn and Neptune in Aries. A door is being opened. They are all retrograde, this is a review first in order to do this, but there is a door opening for changes that can be very fast, very that come with the speed, and they are going to take us. Of course, we have to make decisions. This is not about life only bringing all the things, but they are going to take us to spaces where we are feeling very inspired, that we are connected with enthusiasm and with the new possibilities to descend to the earth, Saturn, potentials and dreams, which are Neptune. Also, I was talking about these things the last week. I'm going to, only mention a little bit of this because you have those videos. We have Venus in Gemini in a square with Mars in Virgo, Venus in Gemini in square with the karma nodes. I'm going to probably expand on this week. Mars in Virgo in conjunction with the South Node and in attention with the North Node. In here, we're talking about relationship topics. There is something with Mars and the South Node in Virgo that is being called to clean. We have to let go of perhaps its habits, excessive criticism, perfectionism, focus on the details that are not truly serving for the process, ways of service that are not actually related to our path or dynamics in relationships, because Mars is in a square with Venus. So the body is talking. I repeat this thing about investigating what are your symptoms telling if you have those. And also the squares between Venus in Gemini and the karma nodes could involve a little bit of mental stress or indecision. But it is that the decisions or the answers that we want to find are not going to come through overthinking, but they are going to come through feeling, through connecting with intuition. North Node in Pisces, there is a challenge in there, in it is like putting aside the mental noise and to make a space to the genuine desire of the soul to move forward. So I just wanted to leave this message today. I'm going to continue to expand on this during the week. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.